How's that? Let me know that you can hear and see me all right. I wanted to go live this afternoon. We are in unprecedented, really troubling times right now. And while I don't pretend to have all of the answers for navigating this, and I certainly cannot claim, thankfully, that I've ever been through this exact situation before, because these are uncharted waters. But what I can tell you is that my years of experience in communications and marketing have taught me that collaboration during times like these can always benefit the overall message. You know, small businesses have been through so much. It's really staggering how much small business owners and marketers have already had to face and deal with. And now, of course, we find ourselves with just a new set of disruptions. I know that no matter where you are likely feeling hurt and sad and confused. So I wanted to just jump on and see if you had specific questions that I could help you with, that we could work through together. If you have particular concerns that you would like to share and bounce ideas off of one another. And I will also be sharing with you a few insights and some recommendations. Today was designated Blackout Tuesday, and it's my understanding that that started in the music industry and was announced, I want to say Friday, and designated for this day. Now, why that is important is because there's a lesson there for us as marketers and communicators. And that is that we always need to teach people what we want from them, whether it is our customers, our stakeholder, our community, or our employees. And we need to give them ample amount of time to respond appropriately. And so I really appreciate the fact that whoever was the catalyst of this movement announced it with plenty of lead time for other people to understand it and make a decision of whether or not they would participate. And so as a result, what you're seeing in a lot of brand channels, I'm sorry for this behind me, what you're seeing with a lot of brand channels is that folks are, sure enough, just posting a solid black rectangle. And I think the signal is that they are stopping the noise to focus. Now, it's interesting because one of the things that I was taught many years ago and that I frankly teach, and those of you who are members of Mix, who have completed my media training, know that really the standard that we learn when it comes to any sort of crisis communications is to issue a hold statement and then go dark. And so I have found that really, really interesting that there is this focus on going dark. So it has, in my mind at least, sort of layers of meaning. And the truth of the matter is, anytime that I have worked with a brand that is in any sort of crisis situation, I have always encouraged them to get out in front of it. Like I say, you issue a hold statement. That's not appropriate here, but typically if it's an internal crisis, like let's say your company had a big layoff or whatever, and it was, you know, sort of a more traditional model of crisis, then you would address the facts. That's called a hold statement. And then you would remain quiet. You really don't do a whole lot of communications. Hi, Sandra. Just, you guys let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay. And I just want to make sure that we're connecting. And if you have thoughts on this topic, I really want to hear from you. I'll tell you a quick story. Years and years ago, I was working with a client for their email marketing. And we had, as you tend to do sometimes, we had, I'm going to try and let some of this air out of here. We had a an email newsletter that was scheduled to be sent out on Friday morning. And as such, I had worked on that project because that was really the limit of my experience with them. And so little did we know that later that same day, there were massive layoffs at this company. And so that became a real touch point for the community. And the email that we had scheduled to send out was all about sales and kind of like sunshine and rainbows. And then the news hit that there was a massive layoff. And the problem, of course, was that one felt very, very tone deaf, meaning it felt very insensitive for that company to be talking about, hey, come and buy from us and, engage in selling and buying with us, when they were actually breaking the hearts of so many families through these layoffs. So that's when I really, really learned. It was many years ago, but that's when I really learned how important it is to get ahead of messaging when necessary. Right now it isn't. And to just remain quiet. So many folks who are do-it-yourself marketers, you get in this habit of you wake up every day and you face this question of, what should I post today? What sale is coming up? Father's Day is coming up. And so for lots of businesses, we've been pushing Father's Day stuff. And so that is sort of your muscle memory. But for right now, it's really, really appropriate that we stick to just business continuation, if necessary, messaging, and anything that we can add value to. So Lisa says, I posted my hold statement on Friday and haven't posted since. When will it be appropriate to post again? Well, that's a really good question. And I don't pretend to know the exact prescription for that, but let's unpack that a little bit. Today certainly is not a day where I would be posting anything. In fact, the clients that I work with directly, and then I sent out a message to my Mix members earlier that it is my recommendation that you, whether you participate full on in Blackout Tuesday, that is a business decision that only you can make. It may fit your communication style and it may not. And I'm not going to weigh in on that one way or another. It's my job to really present you with the information about it. You'll make a business decision of whether or not that fits. But what I definitely recommend is that you do not otherwise post things that could be interpreted as insensitive or clueless or tone deaf. Make sense? So that would be my recommendation. As far as when, it's hard to say. I think it depends a lot on the culture of your communications that already exists. So many times when we live inside of the bubble, if you will, of our own business, and it happens to me, believe me, we overthink our position in the larger communication. And we can almost, I'm about to sneeze, I'm sorry. Maybe if I say it out loud, I won't. We overthink the fact that maybe someone's looking to us for guidance. And if you remember back in the earliest days of the coronavirus crisis, do you recall this? Companies were sending out messages, lots and lots of messages, and they were giving their customers insights from CDC and telling people, I got an email from Pottery Barn telling me to wash my hands. Well, that's not entirely impossible to understand. Why were they doing that? Because they feel like they should be adding value to their community, right? But now we're able to see that that was really overthinking. I don't need the Pottery Barn to tell me to wash my hands. And you need to realize that your audience doesn't necessarily look to you for political insights, doesn't necessarily look to you for social justice issues, unless, of course, that is your line of work, in which case you are accustomed to that sort of conversation. But for most of us, the vast majority of us, you have the right, and I'll talk about this in a moment, to, and several brands have, you absolutely have the right, if this is something that you feel this is a moment to make a statement and to craft a message around what's going on, then that is absolutely your right to do so. But you need to realize no one expects you to have this all figured out. No one is going to be sitting there and going, ABC Bakery has not formed a position statement on what's going on in the world. I am never doing business with them again. No one expects you to have this figured out. So be good to yourself. I say it all the time, but be kind to yourself. Take it easy on yourself and give yourself some time. And for you, Lisa, you do such a nice job of communicating with your audience. It's going to feel really strange. It probably already does. If you've posted a statement on Friday and now it's Tuesday, that probably feels like a really long time to you. And so if you take comfort in somehow maybe reissuing, and I haven't seen your hold statement, I'm sorry, but for those of you, like, I guess what we can guess about your hold statement is it's probably just the bare bones facts. Maybe just our hours will continue, or our hours have changed, or I don't know, but it's probably just a really strong, really brief business continuation message is my guess. And if it helps you to feel like you're still relevant and still, out there, then you can sort of reshape that and reshare that and repost that. That would be my recommendation. I don't think it will be time to resume normal communications in the foreseeable week, at least. I think until, and we'll just have to watch. And so you'll have to make those decisions. We'll continue talking about this in our group and as part of our dialogue. So we'll rely on one another's collective wisdom. But I predict, no one has a crystal ball, I think it's going to be a while before we can just resume normal, hey, come on down and get a deal with us communications. That's not to say, that isn't to say that you should just absolutely, no one is expecting you to just close up shop. Everyone is aware of all the challenges that we've all collectively faced. And so if there is, some of us are in a town where your business is opening up in the next couple of days. Well, that's business continuation, and that's not insensitive messaging. If you are perhaps a restaurant in Michigan, if I'm right, I think restaurants in Michigan open on Thursday. And so is it insensitive? Is it disrespectful to post that your dining room is now open for the first time in 2 months? I don't think so at all. So you just sort of have to watch it. Sandra says, for us, we want to promote businesses reopening and support our members. So Sandra is from my favorite chamber, one of my favorite chambers, but East Point Roseville Chamber. And I think that's sort of exactly what I was talking to, getting the word out. Not so much rainbows and celebration, but now she's exactly right. I mean, these should be very happy occasions for these entrepreneurial leaders who have been through so much already. I think it's just a good time to remind ourselves, if there is anything that we have all learned, it is that everything is temporary, and this is temporary too. So we've waited this long. We will survive another week or so of delaying our messaging. That would certainly be my recommendation. So just so I'm clear, it is my recommendation that business continuation messages like changes to your hours, changes to your service, reopening, all of those things are entirely appropriate. The celebratory messages can just be toned down with sort of a little more respectful tone, as much as I really hate that that's our reality. And so business continuation. And then if there are things that you feel are relevant to your community and the wider community, then certainly share those. I hope that's helpful. Lisa, what about email? Now, I'm assuming you're talking about like email marketing. Now, that is where I always consider email messaging and marketing a bit more intimate. And so it's also, there's just a little different culture behind email marketing. And so I don't think that it is quite as important that you are quiet and dark with regards to email, assuming that, again, you tone those messages down. I don't think it's inappropriate to, let's say you had a message like, I really am geeked for my reopening, or I really am super excited about our Father's Day specials. I have a business to run. I have revenue I need to connect with. What should I do? I don't think it's entirely inappropriate to go ahead and, I mean, life has to go on, not just for your business, but for the people that you do business with. And so I think there are ways. We just have to be acknowledged. We have to acknowledge the more somber tone. So I think email is a little bit more flexible. I do think that it is fine I would probably email before I would post. Does that make sense? So what else are you guys seeing out there? Again, I have seen so many heartbreaking stories of small businesses, and I mean, it is absolutely devastating, and my heart breaks. So while I wait for you guys to weigh in with any other questions, I know you're super busy and I don't want to take a lot of your time, but let me just say to you a couple of things. The Facebook group, our Facebook group, is some of the smartest business owners and communications people and marketers that I know are a part of this group. And so whether you're watching it live or watching it later, please weigh in on the comments section. And if you face something, these are unprecedented times. There is no one who has a playbook, but together we can really help one another figure this out. Do not attempt to go it alone. It's unnecessary. We're here for you. So I really, really appreciate you being a part of our group. I appreciate you guys being a part of the mix. And if there is anything that we can do to support you, to serve as a sounding board, please let us know. Until next time, and let's say the next time, I think that, like I say, I'm going to be monitoring this very, very closely, and we'll have another one of these live chat conversations before the end of the week. But use this time, if you are fortunate enough that you're not, all of us are impacted by this, right? But if your regular day-to-day business is not terribly disrupted, then give yourself an opportunity to use the time that you would have delegated to posting to doing other things like working on your customer database, or writing handwritten notes to your top 10 customers, or filling out your Google My Business page. I don't want you to feel like just all marketing must stop, nothing else. It's absolutely appropriate for you to continue because we want you to be successful. And anything that we can do to help you get there, just let us know. Listen, peace to you and safety. We'll see you next time in the mix.